Hello and welcome to another short tutorial from Medeasy on the Medeasy3 system. In today's tutorial of the Medeasy3 system, we're going to be working in the receivables area, focusing on resident policies. The Medeasy3 system for billing Medicare, Medicaid, and private insurance is not only centered around a census-driven system, but it's also centered around something we call resident policies. In order to better manage the private insurance landscape that exists today, we need the ability to have a flexible, robust system that enables you as a business office manager or as a corporate biller for your particular facility to more accurately document everything about that particular policy. By virtue of that, even Medicare and Medicaid, after the admission process is completed in the Medeasy3 system, needs to be set up for those residents that are qualified for that. I'm going to show you very quickly how easy it is to set up a Medicare policy. I'm in the resident policies area. I have my resident selected. I'm going to click on the new button. Make sure that my payer is my intermediary that I find on the list. It's Medicare Part A. Now, you know, with a typical insurance policy, you're actually going to have a policy number, an effective date, that type of thing. For a Medicare policy, we're going to look at the Medicare number. I know that's not something that we remember off the top of our head, but the Medeasy3 resident policies area gives you the ability to drill into the admission information, and you can look at the most recent admission information for that person. Now, you notice the Medicare number is right here. We simply select copy. It pastes the date in the data field below, and the effective date would be when they came into the building for Medicare, this point being 12/10/2011. I'm going to hide the admission information, 12/10/2011, and the payment order will be 1. Click Save, and we have now saved the initial part of that policy. Now, as part of the pending and registered status for admissions that has been covered in subsequent tutorial videos, one of the things that you can do to, in essence, lock down the policy number and the effective date and the payer for a particular policy is go to the coverage tab that is created, click New, and enter Save. That's all you have to do on a Part A claim to create and kind of lock a resident policy. Click the red X, and the screen comes back showing that this person now has a Medicare policy. Their intermediary or MAC contractor is WPS in this case for their Part A. Now, this person lives in Georgia. That's where this facility is. We're also going to do the same thing for Georgia Medicaid. So I'm going to click New, and this time I'm going to select as the payer Georgia Medicaid, and the payer category is Medicaid. Again, we don't know we don't have their policy, aka their Medicaid number, memorized, so we'll go into the admission information and simply copy it down below. Remember the date of 12/10/2011. That's when it would be effective as for this policy. And again, that's to help complete the policy here. And 1 for the payment order, and click Save. Now you'll notice that 3 other tabs open up. The coverage policy, we're still going to do the same thing. We're simply going to go in, and in this case, if you actually did verify when their Medicaid coverage was effective, you could also do the same thing for Medicare. Not only does it lock in those numbers, as I explained previously, but it allows you to keep a note here of that information when you were verifying coverage. This becomes especially important for private insurance. So we're going to click Save, and I'm going to the Auth tab. Some states, not all, require prior authorization number for Medicaid. Georgia happens to be one of those states. So if you're in a state that has a requirement of a Medicaid prior authorization number, you simply click on the Auth tab, click New, and again, you can look into the admission information to see where that prior authorization number is. It's right here in the bottom. Copy it down. The effective date of 12/10 is entered for you. It brings in some extra descriptive information, which we'll clean out of there. And you always want to select yes if it's a prior authorization. Click Save, and now we have a beginning of a track record of authorization numbers on this person. Again, this is for Medicaid, but I want you to think about private insurance, where for different periods of coverage, etc., or as the dynamics of the policy change for a particular resident, you have the ability to document an unlimited amount of authorization periods for a certain time frame within any private insurance policy. Patient liability, this in various states, it's going to vary in how it calculates out on a claim for Medicaid, but this is where we enter the patient's liability here. We're going to say effective 1/1/2012, this patient's liability was $1,200. And in Georgia, it's not a prorated state, but in other states, if it is prorated, you would select yes here. Because this resident is in Georgia, we're going to select no. Click Save, and that information is there. As you well know, and has been explained, and you've probably seen in other videos and tutorials, that attending physician information is automatically included in admissions. This Physicians tab here is only for those Medicaid states where the necessity for having an additional referring provider, that information is entered. For Georgia Medicaid, that's not an issue, so we will not cover that here, but the process is the same. You'd click on the tab, select New, etc. If your state Medicaid does not require to have an alternate physician's information, then you simply leave the Physician tab alone. Click the box with the white X, and we're back, and now you see that we have a Medicare policy and a Medicaid policy for this resident as well. We're just going to pretend that this person also has a private insurance policy. So I'm going to select New, and the payor is going to be this company called Bart's Mutual, and it is a private insurance policy. And the policy number here, we can put in anything that is relative, and the effective date we'll put 1/1/2012, and there's no expiration date. We'll also list it as a payor order of 1. For all resident policies currently in the Medeasy system, you want to use as a payment order of 1. The reason being is in a subsequent update down the road, we'll be working with coordination of benefits, and that's something that will actually come into play at that time. One important thing that I do want to show is that before you save the policy record, it's always good to make sure that the address and city, state, and zip of that resident is there, because if not, whether it be Medicare or a Medicaid claim, also a UB04 for private insurance, if that information is not there, that claim will get rejected. When you click Save on the policy record, you'll know you have similar tabs that come up. Okay, you've got the Coverage tab that we've seen in the past, but I want to go over to the Private Insurance tab. We click on the Private Insurance tab, and this is where you enter the insurance company's group name, group number, phone number for calling in claims, any eligibility phone number, the certification phone number in case any pre-certs have to go on, all the basic information that may be a particular aspect of that insurance policy. You can see if it covers skilled nursing or not, or outpatient services, is it in or out of network, etc., etc. This information is filled out on the screen germane to what that particular policy has. When you look at the Coverage tab, again, this is where you verified coverage. Select New, verify the coverage, and save that. And that locks in that policy information that's there in terms of the number, etc. Rates. Rates are pretty much covered in the rate code and rate reimbursement section of the admin area of the Medeasy3 system. However, this area does exist for private insurance, and as it states right here, these policy-specific rates are used to override any standard contracted reimbursement rates. For example, used to specify our private insurance negotiated rates. So if you've got an insurance company that has a very unusual way that they reimburse, you can enter those specific different and individual rates here. Again, authorization number, it's the same process that you've gone through. The only difference is instead of looking into the admission information, you'll have an effective date and authorization number for your that the private insurance company has given you. Patient liability, if there is any, you can enter that here. That's typically for Medicaid only. And again, if you need the additional referring physician information, you can put that information in there. So you can see that we've set up the framework here. So this person has been admitted into the facility. All the resident policies are set up, and they only ever have to be set up once for a resident when they enter the building. It doesn't matter how many times that person is discharged and readmitted, the policy stays with the resident, so it's a one-time setup. That opens the door so that claims can be created. On behalf of Medeasy, I would like to thank you for viewing today's tutorial. please be sure to visit us on the web at www.medeasyinc.com. Thank you and have a great day.